Welcome back to Wings of Bibles. I'm Dustin, and today we're covering part 39, Airworthiness Directives. This part is structured a little bit different than the other FARs and the other parts. It's structured in kind of a question and response form. So we'll start off here with 39.1, purpose of this regulation. The regulations in this part provide a legal framework for the FAA's system of airworthiness directives. 39.3, definition of airworthiness directives. So this is a definition for an airworthiness directive. FAA's airworthiness directives are legally enforceable rules that apply to the following products: aircraft, aircraft engines, propellers, and appliances. So these are the things that airworthiness directives apply to. 39.5, when does FAA issue airworthiness directives? FAA issues an airworthiness directive addressing a product when we find that an unsafe condition exists in the product and the condition is likely to exist or develop in other products of the same type design. So an airworthiness directive is a response from the FAA addressing an unsafe condition or a condition that is likely to exist or develop in other products. 39.7. What is the legal effect of failing to comply with an airworthiness directive? Anyone who operates a product that does not meet the requirements of an applicable airworthiness directive is in violation of this section. And they expand on this in 39.9. What if I operate an aircraft or use a product that does not meet the requirements of an airworthiness directive? If the requirements of an airworthiness directive have not been met, you violate 39.7 each time you operate the aircraft or use the product. So every time you fly an aircraft that has an airworthiness directive and it hasn't been met, then you violate 39.7 every single time you fly that aircraft until that airworthiness directive is taken care of. 39.11. What actions do airworthiness directives require? Airworthiness directives specify inspections you must carry out, conditions and limitations you must comply with, and any actions you must take to resolve an unsafe condition. 39.13. Are airworthiness directives part of the Code of Federal Regulations? Yes, airworthiness directives are part of the Code of Federal Regulations, but they are not codified in the annual edition. FAA publishes airworthiness directives in full in the Federal Register as amendments to 39.13. So, airworthiness directives are a part of the CFR, but they are not in the CFR, the specific airworthiness directive. Those airworthiness directives are published in the Federal Register. 39.15. Does an airworthiness directive apply if the product has been changed? Yes. An airworthiness directive applies to each product identified in the airworthiness directive, even if an individual product has been changed by modifying, altering, or repairing it in the area addressed by the airworthiness directive. 39.17. What must I do if a change in a product affects my ability to accomplish the actions required in the airworthiness directive? If a change in a product affects your ability to accomplish the actions required by the airworthiness directive in any way, you must request FAA approval of an alternative method of compliance. Unless you can show the change eliminated the unsafe condition, your request should include the specific actions that you propose to address the unsafe condition. Submit your request in the manner described in 31.19. 31.19 is this section right here. May I address the unsafe condition in a way other than that set out in the airworthiness directive? Yes. Anyone may propose to FAA an alternative method of compliance or a change in the compliance time, if the proposal provides an acceptable level of safety. Unless FAA authorizes otherwise, send your proposal to the principal inspector. Include the specific actions you are proposing to address the unsafe condition. The principal inspector may add comments and will send you your request to the manager of the office identified in the Airworthiness Directive. You may send a copy to the manager at the same time you send it to the principal inspector. If you do not have a principal inspector, send your proposal directly to the manager. You may use the alternative you propose only if the manager approves it. So you don't necessarily have to comply with what the AD says in such that their prescribed method of addressing the unsafe condition, but you do have to propose to the FAA and the principal inspector of that change in the maintenance or way you address that AD. 3921. Where can I get information about FAA approved alternative methods of compliance? Each Airworthiness Directive identifies the office responsible for approving alternative methods of compliance. That office can provide information about alternatives it has already approved. So, if somebody does submit a proposal for an alternative method, you can request that information, and if it's been approved, you can also do that alternative method. 3923. May I fly my aircraft to a repair facility to do the work required by an Airworthiness Directive? Yes, the operation specifications giving some operators authority to operate, including a provision that allows them to fly their aircraft to a repair facility to do the work required by an Airworthiness Directive. If you do not have this authority, the local Flight Standards District Office of FAA may issue a special flight permit unless the Airworthiness Directive states otherwise. To ensure aviation safety, FAA may add special requirements for operating your aircraft to a place where the repairs or modifications can be accomplished. FAA may also decline to issue a special flight permit in particular cases if we determine you cannot move the aircraft safely. So yes, you can fly your aircraft to a repair station to do the work required by your Airworthiness Directive, but you have to get a special flight permit, and whether it gets approved or not determines if you can fly that aircraft. 3925. How do I get a special flight permit? Apply to FAA for a special flight permit following the procedures in 14 CFR 21-199. And 3927 says, what do I do if the Airworthiness Directive conflicts with the service document on which it is based? In some cases, an Airworthiness Directive incorporates by reference a manufacturer's service document. In these cases, the service document becomes part of the Airworthiness Directive. In some cases, the directions in the service document may be modified by the Airworthiness Directive. If there is a conflict between the service document and the Airworthiness Directive, you must follow the requirements of the Airworthiness Directive. So what this section is saying is basically what the FAA says is more important than a maintenance or manufacturer's service document. And that's going to do it for this video on part 39. I hope you enjoyed the video. I'll see you in the next one. See ya!